You see, the reason why we don't transform is because we don't want to enter the tunnel of transformation. The tunnel of transformation is dark. It is unfamiliar. Nothing you know from before in your pre-life exists in the tunnel toward your post-life. And that's why we don't change. We just keep changing the mask.
Greator, it's in you.
Thank you so much. As a clinical psychologist, I meet a lot of people who are in a lot of pain. And I remember this one mother who came to me at her rock bottom. She was distraught. She was sobbing. I don't understand. I did everything on the checklist. I went to the Ivy League. I had a great career. I earned a lot of money. I married the most amazing husband. I had the 3 children. Why do I feel so empty? Why do I feel so incomplete? Why do I feel like I am not good enough? And who am I? She, like many of you here perhaps, have all the trappings of what we could call a good life. But yet, there is something inside that is missing. And that's why you're here today. You're here to discover, what is it? What can I be more of? Can I have more joy? Can I have more purpose? Can I have more passion? What can I do to be more? And that's why you're here. And it's a good thing that you're here. Because when we gather together with others who are also searching, seeking, and ready, there is a momentum, there is an excitement, there is an inspiration, and a tipping point beyond which you may discover the real reason why you are here. You see, you think you're here because you need to find something. You need maybe more intimacy, love, passion, abundance. But what you will discover, I hope, when you leave here, is that those were not the things you came for, really. You thought you came for that. But what you really are looking for, what is really missing, is only one thing: the remembrance, the celebration, and the manifestation of your true self. That is what you are here for. You are here because you know that you have been living behind a mask. Not just one mask, many masks. And the masks you wear are the masks you inherited. You were given very generously by your very unconscious parents. And your parents, not knowing that they were giving you these masks, they gave you legacies, traditions, decades and generations of masks of perfection, of achievement, of pleasing, and a desire to fit in. You see, when you were a little child, you may not remember, you came here to be who it is you were, as it is you were, completely, unabashedly authentic. But because within a few minutes of your birth, you encountered the shocking reality of your parents, you realized subconsciously at first, but then very clearly, that who you were as you were is simply not enough. You see, and if you're a parent, you're doing this already to your children. It was done to us all, and we will do it to the other generations, because this is the way of cyclical trauma. And before you knew it as a child, your parents conditioned you. They programmed you into becoming something other than you. And you're a child and you're wondering, but aren't I enough? Why can't I just be who I am? And you began to realize, oh, if I stayed who it is I am, then my mother doesn't smile that much. But when I win a prize at school, or I come home with a trophy, or I look really pretty, oh, then she smiles really big. And she says she loves me very loudly, if ever at all. And the little boy realizes, oh, when I'm just being me, no one pays attention. But when I am a comedian, or when I do really well in the track and field and I'm a good athlete, and I play really good basketball, oh, then people notice me. Then I feel worthy. So the child begins to put together a very simple equation. 1 + 1 = 2. And because every one of us as children wanted love, wanted approval, wanted praise and validation, we put that equation together very fast. And we began to wear the mask. One mask plus another mask equals love, equals worth, equals validation. So easy. But what we didn't realize is that in that equation, there was a lot of minus. What did we have to minus? What did we have to leave behind? A whole lot of authenticity, a whole lot of confidence, a whole lot of worth. We left all of that behind on the sidewalks of our childhood as we put together the equations that got us the most validation from the outside world. And we became the doctors and the musicians and the successful bankers, and we made the money and we checked off the list. And then one day, if it hasn't happened to you already, like it did to that mother, it will happen to you, where you too one day will hit rock bottom and ask, how is it that after checking off everything on my prescription list, I still don't know who the freaking I am? And when that happens to you, you will think it is the greatest tragedy of your life. You will think, oh my goodness, he left me. Who am I? Or my children don't love me. They don't need me. Who am I? Or I just got fired from my job. Who am I? And you will think that that rock bottom experience of completely being unfamiliar to you, not knowing, unrecognizable in the mirror, you will think that that is the worst moment of your life. Many of you, if you're lucky, you have had the worst moment of your life, or many. And you may be wondering, how can she tell me that this is not the worst moment of my life? How can she tell me that there is another possibility? Well, I can tell you this, that it is only through the worst moments of your life. It is only when you hit rock bottom that there is a potential for transformation. People ask me all the time, how can I change? I really want to change. I really want to grow. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because growth and change and transformation cannot happen in times of comfort, cannot happen in times of where you are riding high. This is the ironic tragedy of transformation. It can only happen through the absolute torture of the lowest gutter of the most traumatic betrayal, abandonment, and pain. It is there, when you're on the floor, about to die, that there is the potential for the greatest transformation. Why? Because it is in those moments where the false self, which we call the ego, where your ego for a moment is not working anymore. Now, we are very clever, and the ego is super smart. It will create a new mask within moments. The window of transformation is really small. But if you dare, and if you have the courage, in those moments of the deepest pain and betrayal and acute trauma, to ask the most courageous question: what does this mean for me now? How is this a reflection of my inner death? How is this a mirror to how I need to grow? How did I co-create this reality? And if you dare to ask these questions when you're dying, to yourself, to your past, to all the ways that you knew, then the ego doesn't have a chance to come back. And what happens instead is that you activate the transformation potential in each of us and in you. And instead of going back into your patterns, instead of going back into your loop, into your cycle, instead of a new mask, a new husband, a new car, a new surgery, a new job, a new place, a new something, which is just another old way of staying stuck, you begin instead to enter the tunnel. You see, the reason why we don't transform is because we don't want to enter the tunnel of transformation. The tunnel of transformation is dark. It is unfamiliar. Nothing you know from before in your pre-life exists in the tunnel toward your post-life. And that's why we don't change. We just keep changing the mask. Another lover, another dinner, another Netflix, another something. Anything but entering the tunnel. The tunnel is unknown. It is dark. It is unfamiliar. It is so scary. But if you can understand that to live in the stagnation of your old patterns is death already. You see, we can never be afraid of something unless we have already experienced it. So you've already died, you see. You're just resisting the change that comes in the rebirth. The death has already occurred. We're just clinging on to dear life because we must stay married, or we must stay loyal, or we must stay in the job, even though we have died already. So the tunnel feels like the death only because you have already died, but you just don't realize it. If you realize you're already dead, which you are, you've just covered it up with another bottle of alcohol or another something exciting. But if you were really in touch with yourself, you would realize, I'm already dead. So if I'm already dead, I might as well be in the tunnel, because the tunnel will take me to the transformation. And as you enter the tunnel, you begin to activate what is known as alignment. What is alignment? Alignment is taking action. You begin to take action that is matching of your desire to break the pattern. And just the desire to break the pattern is breaking the pattern. You see, we think that the new self has to arrive in order for us to break a pattern. No, the desire to break the pattern is the invitation to the new self. And as you go down the tunnel, you begin to expand where before you were dying. In order to transform, you have to die. Somebody asked me the other day, what was your greatest transformation? And I said, the many times I have already died and the many times I am about to die. And if I don't keep dying to my old self, I will not evolve. I will not transform. So the question you have to ask is not, am I willing to change? But, am I willing to die? So Plato, in his beautiful allegory of the cave, speaks of the prisoners who are in the cave. The prisoners who are shackled, they're staring at the walls of the cave. There's a fire, and they see shadows on the walls of the cave. They've never left the cave. All they know are the shadows. And they think that the shadows are from this little fire. There's an opening in the cave where light is coming through, but they don't realize that that is causing the shadows. They think it's just what they see. And they live for decades, for generations, shackled, observing the shadows on the cave, Plato says. And as they watch the shadows, they believe that this is real life. One of the prisoners, through a little bit of discomfort and luck or chance, happens to break free out of the shackle. One of them, random, he breaks out of the shackle and he crawls out of the cave. And as he goes out of the cave, he sees for the first time a sky and land. And he sees the sun. And he realizes, oh my goodness, this is what is causing the shadows in the cave. This is the source of the illusions that I thought was my real life playing out on the cave wall. He rushes back so excited. He wants to tell everyone, I found it. I found the answer. These shadows are not real. They are an illusion. They are a lie. Come with me. I will show you the truth. But he realizes, like all of you have done perhaps in your life, that you can't ever change anyone just because you have evolved. Because to the one who is shackled, truth feels like poison. Abundance feels like violence. To the one who is shackled, freedom feels like a loss. And he realized, oh, I cannot change anyone. The freedom that I have just observed of the truth, of the source of my madness, of my illusions, that freedom is only mine to live. And for you too, your freedom, when you break out of the shackles and head toward the sun, when you come back and tell everyone to join you, but they don't, you have to realize, freedom is not for everyone. It is hard-earned. It is something that you cultivate for you. But the first question that you need to ask yourself is, are you ready for that kind of freedom? And then, are you ready to leave the cave? Thank you.